There is a RUMI story about a king, a fire and a choice. And if you trade, this story is about you. The king declared idol worship and Judaism the national religion. But in the north part of his kingdom, Christians wouldn't budge. So he gathered every Christian there, built a towering idol beside a massive fire, and gave them one order: bow to the idol or be thrown into the flames. Those who refused were burned alive in front of the crowd, one by one, as a warning. The message was clear: surrender to what everyone else bows to, or face destruction. And it worked. Fear made most people comply, because the fire looked like death. It was death. And bowing looked like survival. And then a mother was brought forward with his infant. King forces threw the child first in the fire to break her. She watched, terrified, and moved to the idol to bow. But suddenly child's voice came out from inside the fire. Do not bow. This fire will not burn you. It only looks like fire. Come in. It is the most beautiful place you will ever see and feel. After that, people entered one by one, and nobody was consumed. They were protected. Now strip away the religious layer entirely. What remains is a precise psychological portrait of every trader alive. You and your ego are the idol. You have two choices every single day, every single trade. You can bow to what you already know. Your habits, your comfort zone, your familiar patterns of behavior that feels like safety, feels like home. Or you can step into the fire, the discomfort of change, real discipline, genuine risk management, and the cold honesty of confronting why you actually lose. More importantly, accepting that you are still losing. Because most traders are just grown-up children. They are arrogant, delusional, their hairs turning white while living in a fantasy of luxury and rented cars of gurus while becoming older on their couches. But the fire looks like suffering. It looks like restriction. It looks like the end of the freedom that trading promised you. Inside the fire is where the real money lives. The fire will burn your past into a new one, and that's hard, but makes you a trader. The question is whether you have the clarity to see that or not. Most traders bow to the idol, and the idol has many faces. The first face of the idol is the belief that the next system will save you. Every trader spends months learning price action, implements it with genuine effort, has a new winning weeks, and then a sequence of losses arrives because at first novelty is there, satisfaction and freshness is there. Instead of sitting in discomfort of those losses and examining what they relieve about their own behavior, the trader concludes that the system is flawed or rigged. So they bow to the next guru, to the next strategy, to the next course promising they've cracked the code which makes people rich, but the only rich people are gurus sucking money out of you. The cycle continues for years. The trader changes their tools constantly and never changing the person holding those tools. And the person that is holding the tools is the only variable that matters. It is like persecuting a gun for a mass murder. Here's what actually happens at the moment of the loss that sends the trader back to the idol worship, to old behaviors like an addict. The market moves against the position. The trader feels the discomfort of being wrong. This discomfort is not financial, it is identity level pain. Being in a wrong trade feels neurologically identical to being rejected by another person. The brain does not distinguish clearly between financial loss and social threat. So the same mechanisms that make you defensive in an argument kick in during a trade. You hold the position because accepting that the trade is wrong is admitting that you are wrong. And how many people, scientists, philosophers do you know that like being wrong? Being wrong is actually good. It makes you learn new things, but we are just civilized monkeys, and even in our loneliness we prefer pretending to be right instead of growth. You justify, rationalize, construct, elaborate reasons why the market will reverse. You're not analyzing anymore, you are protecting your ego. And this is where traders make the second bow to the idol that RUMI said. They move their stop loss, they tell themselves it's intelligent risk management, it's gonna reverse, but it isn't. It is a negotiation with the idol of being right. The stop loss was placed based on logic until the emotions arrived. The name is protecting a stop loss. Did you even pay attention to that? It is made to stop your loss. And moving it is the emotion overriding logic. And the most dangerous part is that this lie is invisible. You'll always find a technical reason to justify it because technical books are made for your satisfaction. They put a lot of scenarios in front of you in one zone. A support level, a previous high, a retest. The market gives you enough ambiguity to hide your psychological failures inside what looks like analysis. The fire, the real fire, is the moment you honor your stop loss. The moment you close the trade and accept the loss. Then record it without self-punishment and return to neutral. And even feel the satisfaction in doing what is right. That's the place that most of the traders can't go. It's the route only a few wander. It's the profitability route. It's the 3%ers route. Not because most of traders lack intelligence or they don't understand risk management theoretically, but because stepping into that fire requires letting the identity take a hit and surviving anyway. It bears the plague under your skin. It's healthily painful. And most of the traders haven't built that capacity yet, because they've spent years bowing to the idol of certainty instead, and the idol preachers are the gurus themselves. Moving your stop loss is not discipline, it's idol worship. Your stop loss was placed before the emotion arrived. The moment you move it, you're not managing risk. You're protecting your ego. You're bowing to the idol. And you'll find the technical reason, a support, a retest. Because the market gives you enough ambiguity to hide your psychological failure inside what looks like analysis. But you know exactly what you did. You bowed, you chose comfort over structure. And the fire you avoided, the clean loss, the accepted hit, was the only place your development as a trader could happen. The traders who win are not the one who avoid losses. They're the one who learn to step into them without flinching. Let me introduce someone, not an invention, but an archetype so common in trading that you will recognize him immediately. He is not uneducated. He has consumed enormous amounts of content, supply and demand, order blocks, liquidity sweeps, institutional behavior. He understands the concepts. He can explain them clearly to others. But his account has barely grown in 2 years, and in his most honest moments, he knows it has actually shrunk once inflation is factored in. Arman's problem is not knowledge. His problem is that he has constructed an elaborate relationship with the idol of control. Every morning he runs through a ritual, marks his key levels, reads the news, checks his watch list and outlines his plan. This ritual feels like discipline. It produces a feeling of certainty, of preparation that is almost indistinguishable from readiness. It's satisfactory, but the ritual is the bow, not the fire that is necessary. But the moment that market opens and moves in a way that violates Arman's plan, he improvises. He takes a trade that wasn't on his watch list or based on his strategy because it looks similar. He holds a loser because his intuition says that this setup is still valid. He exits a winner early because he remembered that how many times this week he was wrong, and now he doesn't trust himself to keep any trade that is actually good. It is a self-repeating cycle. Arman isn't lacking preparation. Arman is lacking the willingness to enter the fire. He lacks faith. The fire is the moment when the market is not cooperating with his expectations and he has to choose: follow the plan without modification or yield to the comfort of his emotions. He yields every time. Not dramatically, there is no screaming at the screen. No revenge trading in the classic sense. His version of bowing is quiet. It's a subtle deviation here, a small exception there, seems nothing. A justification that sounds reasonable until you add up 300 of them. And notice they all point to one direction, toward comfort and away from structure. An egoistic self-destruction. This is what makes the idol so dangerous. It doesn't look like weakness. Arman's deviations look like sound judgment. They look like experience. They look like the kind of intuitive adaptations that separates professionals from beginners. But they aren't. They are a trained avoidance of fire dressed as wisdom. And the market's structured as it is around the collective behavior of millions of participants making exactly these kinds of emotional decisions will transfer money from losers to disciplined with a mechanical reliability. Now there is a deeper layer. Arman's problem isn't any single trade. His problem is that he has never chosen the fire consciously. He has approached the fire many times. He had moments of clarity where he could see those behavioral patterns clearly. But at the final moment, he has always found a reason to step back. Always found a reformulation of the problem that makes another system, another course, another framework feel like the answer. Because the genuine answer, the one that requires stepping into the discomfort of changing his actual behavior rather than his external tools, costs something no course can quantify. It costs the version of himself that he's been protecting his whole life. It needs the acceptance that he's still a losing trader which needs to follow his plan. The traders who eventually come through the other side of this, who enter the fire and are not consumed, don't talk about it in the way trading content and guru usually discuss about success. They don't describe a moment when they found a perfect system, because it is a long process. They don't describe a 90% win rate strategy to sell to you. They describe a moment when they stopped needing the system to be perfect. When they understood that consistency isn't about eliminating uncertainty. It's about building a behavioral relationship with uncertainty that doesn't collapse under pressure. And that shift is internal, it is invisible. It produces no content, no 1-minute reel, no clean screenshot for social media. But it produces accounts that grow with the boring, methodological reliability of someone who no longer needs the market to validate their identity. The trader's worst enemy doesn't look like a mistake. He doesn't overtrade, he doesn't revenge trade. He prepares every morning, marks his levels, follows his watch list. But the moment market moves against him, he makes a small exception. A minor deviation, a justified adjustment. Then another, and then 300 more. All of them without exception point in the same direction toward comfort and away from structure. I say it again, that's not experience. That's trained avoidance of fire dressed as wisdom. And the market will charge you for every deviation silently and consistently until there is nothing left to charge. The idol doesn't look like the fear. Sometimes it looks like preparation. The trading industry has built an entire economy around the idol. Courses, communities, signals, indicators, funded account programs, Discord servers. All of them are profitable, but only to their creators, because they sell the same illusion in different packaging. The idea that success in trading is one more piece of external information away. This is not an accident, it is the structural result of building a product for the people who are afraid to enter the fire. They don't like, want, or need you to become a trader. They make you a step by step to become a customer. And more importantly, they don't know trading psychologically or practically, because the guru doesn't trade himself. He's an advertiser and knows advertising psychology. Think about what a course actually sells. It sells some concepts, a set of self-negating rules, an undefined, invalidated, uncertificated methodology. Just a way of seeing the market in hindsight. Frameworks are genuinely useful. But the implicit promise behind the sell is different from explicit content. The explicit content is technical. The implicit promise is psychological. If you follow this system, you will not have to confront your own behavior. They are selling you the comfort. This promise in other languages is that you will have an external structure that removes the need for internal discipline. But this promise is impossible to deliver because internal discipline and external structure are not interchangeable. The market doesn't interact with your system. It interacts with your decisions while you are performing under a system. Decisions that will always be colored by your psychology, your emotional state, your need for certainty, your fear of loss. The guru understands it, whether consciously or not. Every course comes with this implicit clause. If it doesn't work, the problem is your execution, not the system. This is the most elegant form of idol worship in the industry. The system cannot fail because the system is the idol. Your failure to execute is your failure to bow correctly. So you buy again, you learn again, you adjust your execution. The idol demands perfect worship and you keep trying to provide it. And the fire, the actual development that would change your behavior, remains untouched. What the fire actually demands is simple but not easy. It demands that you observe yourself operating in real time. Not the market, yourself. It demands that you, especially in the moments of making decisions, develop enough psychological distance from your own decisions to ask, is this analysis or emotion? Is this patience or fear? Is this confidence or desperation wearing a confident mask? These questions are easy to type, but they are almost impossible to answer honestly, especially when you are in life trade. When the P&L is moving and your identity is engaged. And the temptation to rationalize is in its most powerful. The course didn't fail you. You were never the target market for what it actually promised. Every trading course has an explicit promise and an implicit one. The explicit promise is a system, a methodology, a framework. The implicit promise is this: if you follow these rules, you don't have to confront yourself. External structure will replace internal discipline, but that promise is structurally impossible. Because as I said, the market doesn't interact with your system, it interacts with your decisions operating under that system. And those decisions will always reflect your psychology, your fear, your need to be right. The course itself may not be a lie, but the expectation that you have from it is. The system was never broken, you were working toward it, still carrying the idol. The traders who developed the capacity to enter the fire and survive it share certain observable characteristics. They don't claim to have eliminated the emotions from trading. The claim is itself a form of performance. Instead, they describe a relationship with emotion that is functional rather than reactive. They feel the discomfort of a losing trade. They feel the pull toward the losing position when they are supposed to close it. But they have built enough internal distance through hundreds of repetitions of observing themselves and choosing a structure over comfort that the feeling no longer controls the decision. The feeling is noticed, it is not obeyed. This doesn't happen because someone found a better indicator or found a more refined strategy. It happens because they chose the fire repeatedly, in small ways until the fire stopped burning. Because the act of following through on a stop loss felt less catastrophic than avoiding it. Until consistency, boring, unglamorous, repetitive consistency replaced the search for the perfect trade, until the market became in their relationship to it a neutral environment operating by probability rather than a judgment about their intelligence or self-worth. RUMI was a genius. You are the fire and the idol simultaneously. The fire looks like suffering, the idol looks like safety. But every single thing that actually develops you as a trader lives in the fire. Idle will keep you comfortable, it will keep you searching. It will keep you buying the next course and refining the next indicator and following the next account and believing that what's missing is still somewhere outside yourself. The fire strips that from you, it will show you exactly who you are under pressure. And that clarity, not the system, not the strategy, not the perfect entry, that clarity is the only thing that was ever going to make you consistently profitable. The market doesn't take your money. It reveals what you are willing to bow to.